Take it away, Paul.
First off, thank you, Grim, for allowing us this time to participate in your first time speakers. To Track 2 has definitely been an awesome experience following Grim for a very long time. Today, I'm going to talk about kind of a segue into what Doc said, with the broken system, the hybrid, the VUCA, distilling information. And, it definitely wasn't planned. It just so happens that, some people are just like-minded like that. So a little bit about whole cyber human initiative. We like to joke and between the advisory board and the board of advisors, or advisory board and the board of directors, we like to joke that it's about kind of like a Justice League or an Avengers, right? Because we're calling it an initiative. And just like the Avengers, they're a reactive force. And how we're reacting is the broken hiring system. When you look at some of these job descriptions and you follow people like Naomi Buckwalter, when she puts these unicorn job descriptions out for entry level, when you see CISSP or a master's, what's next? A PhD. So we're fueled by the community. So everything that we do, we've done copious amounts of research, grooming LinkedIn, scrubbing to find posts and understanding where this talent gap is that HR and hiring managers say exist. And it doesn't. On average, between 20 non-elitist type Discord groups, you're looking at tens of thousands of talent that's just ripe for picking. And that's what we do. We pull talent and resources from a lot of the influencers out there. A lot of them are actually, when I approached the idea about the whole cyber human concept, really pulled in people like Gerald Auger, James Azar, Stefan Simmelroth, our partner, Boost the Books, Peter Klein, and we just started to grow with it. At first, it was just going to be more of, we're going to host a monthly type engagement for mentorship and tutelage. And it turned into, just one day after seeing several people that, I mentor on their last rope, ready to cash out and not apply for, any more jobs in cyber. And it's kind of disheartening because, that perseverance is kind of the thing that really drives home in cybersecurity. It's a continuous learning environment. You have to be a dedicated lifelong learner. So using the resources, specifically free to inexpensive, and it's kind of how we build it. We don't want to charge candidates. We have a candidate program, and we really want to drive home how to fill these cybersecurity job gaps.
And some of the things that we've been doing is to help bring awareness to what cybersecurity really is. And there's many different representations of what someone thinks cybersecurity is. And often they think the pen tester, they think the SOC analyst, but those aren't the only roles in cyber. There's many other roles in cyber. Not everyone's a hacker. Not everyone is a coder. It helps to have those skills, but it is not a requirement for all the roles. And that's one of the things that we help candidates as part of the first steps, is to do the self-discovery to figure out which of the many roles within cyber really aligns to them, and then how can we help guide their learning, their education to meet what the market is looking for, but also do it their way, to highlight their strengths, to highlight what they're passionate about, so that they take their full self into the role and you're not just trying to fit some cookie cutter definition of what they think cybersecurity is.
Exactly right. And then, we can pay homage to our veterans, right? So when you look at a 10 to 20 year veteran, or a mill spouse or a dependent, they have so many hard and soft skills that are encoded into their etho that, you know, they're shooting for these entry level roles and getting shot down because they're getting told they're overexperienced. And then they're trying to apply for these senior technical roles and they're getting shot down because they don't have experience. So when we meet with a candidate, especially, you know, a veteran or a career pivoter, we kind of hone in on what skills they already have, right? So if we're talking about someone in food management, maybe they have 14 years and they're, you know, a regional manager. Why why are you as a regional manager trying to apply for, you know, these type of roles that won't suit you currently, right? If that's your end game, you want to be a practitioner, look at the mid to senior level roles for now to get your footing, you know, become a project manager, a stock manager, you know, different types of roles where you don't have to be 100% technical. You just have to know the business and know what each one of your teammates can accomplish on a day-to-day basis. And, you know, really breaking down the color wheel to them. You know, you got the InfoSec color wheel, you got the cybersecurity color wheel, and then you got a more robust one with critical infrastructure. So when we talk to our candidates and we really, what we focus on is the system nice framework. And we send them over there, they look at the 52 roles, the 33 subspecialties, and they really break it down and look at the roles, responsibilities, the duties, and the skills that are required for those roles. And it just so happens when they do that, we can help align them with their certain color wheel, which is actually something that we've been working on with a badging system for our candidates. So when we present a badge, it's going to have a nice color based on, you know, what color wheel they're affluent in. You know, and the first thing we like to do is talk about the front end. Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, while we're finishing off the color wheel, I think the color wheel helps to show the different groupings of roles so you're not overloaded with the 52, but also to show that everything is not just the red team, not just a SOC, but the different areas that they can potentially look into. Pivoting over to the front end system, one of the biggest detractors for many applicants is the applicant tracking system. And it was initially created to help scale applicants when a lot of people were applying. The problem is it is broken in it filters out too many of the qualified applicants simply because the user or the system doesn't click on a keyword that someone had in their resume or that the employer was looking for. So it then deprioritizes them on who gets picked for those roles. The other problem also comes on the candidate side, where you're not tailoring their resume specifically for those roles so that they won't get pinged when recruiters or hiring managers are searching through the applicant tracking system, which is why I'm a big promoter of human-to-human engagement. It kind of bypasses the applicant tracking system. You get to know the hiring managers, you get to know your peers ahead of time and meet and talk to them. And that's how you potentially could get into a role. I know it involves a lot more time networking with individuals, but it provides you with that quality connection to a hiring manager, to a peer, and that connection could get your resume or your application to the hiring manager and their qualified list sooner.
Yeah, you nailed it. You know, networking is hands down. Look across LinkedIn, look across Twitter and Facebook. Networking is one of the single most impactful things that get people jobs. You know, you can bypass the ATS altogether. You know, when you make that lasting connection, that meaningful connection. You know, not saying go out and, you know, personal invite and say, hey, you know, you work for this company, it's cool, I want to get to know you. And then your second message is, hey, I've seen this job description. I'd love to talk to you about it. No, build that rapport, get to know them, right? Because once they know you, they can kind of let the panelists know, when you interview your style, right? Because the interview process is very, very mistreated. You figure the ATS is your first interview. And a lot of candidates that apply for jobs, they have a spray and pray resume, right? They list everything, right? Uh, and they just keep adding and adding and adding. That way they can bypass that ATS. But then it's not tailored when it gets to that hiring manager or that technical lead that's going to interview you. And most of the time, when you get to the panelist side, when you sit down with the 5 to 6 folks that are going to interview you, this is the first time they've seen your resume. So, if there's things that don't line up for that job and they're already looking at it, and that's their first impression on you as a team, right? Speaking of resumes, we just got done talking to a gentleman that had, it was a nice resume. It's definitely put a lot of time into it, but it had sitting for Sec Plus in 2019. So the attention to fine detail in your resume, cybersecurity is about fine detail. So if you're putting stuff that you've already accomplished, take it out. Because right now you're looking at, anywhere between 3 to 6 interviews, and that could take up to 2 months. And this is why it's critical to network. You get that internal referral, and you're bypassing a lot of the internal stuff, like talking to a recruiter, talking to a technical recruiter, talking to the hiring manager, tech lead, and so on. But some people just can't network. When we talk about the different types of personalities, some people just don't have that skill. And that's kind of what we do as a community. If you look at cybersecurity community in general, we're very upfront, we're very giving, and it really relies on the applicants and the candidates to do the work, do being the key word. And we talk about that here in a little bit too. But candidates don't do it. They don't use the network like it's supposed to.
And as you mentioned, that meaningful connection, once you have that meaningful connection with someone, you can then they can understand what you're looking for. And even if that company, the fit with that company is not good, they could recommend you to someone else. And that's the brilliance of networking. So let's move on to our next system.
The broken API. No, go ahead, Chris.
Paul, you want to take this away? I love your story about the DoD requirements and how that got misused and abused as a filter.
Absolutely. So we call it the broken API, right? We as managers, as leaders, we're holding too much value in certifications to the point that it's become an entry-level requirement. When we talk about when a lot of us old farts got, Novell certs and stuff like that, those are bragging rights. It used to be, I'm a professional and now I'm an expert because I just got this cert. But, and I think when we look 2010 to now, I think it was built off a broken DoD model. The 8140, 8570 was created over a decade ago. And that's the DoD cybersecurity workforce model. And it's a broken model. Why would you bring a broken model into the industry? And my Paul Cummings opinion is too many company executives are born from DoD cloth. When we think about veterans, service members, government employees, and DoD contractors, they've all been institutionalized in the mindset that, this is on paper what I have to get in order to do my job. When we look at somebody, as far as like a Navy IT, Navy IT, you go to a ship for your first ship and you're, there for 5 years. And let's say you don't get the luxury of being in ADP or the information assurance office, and you get stuck doing, communications technician. Well, you've done that for 5 years now, and you're ready for your shore duty. You're ready to go do something that has meaning. Because a lot of comm stations, they just don't have the luxury of computer help desk and administration and stuff like that. But now you got this person that's been in for 5 years, and they're told they can't select for certain roles because they don't have Security Plus. And they can't get Security Plus because when you look at the DoD, they want you to have X amount of time in order to submit for that certification to get paid for. And that leads to a lot of broken boot camps that are costing $2,500 to $3,000, or $2,500, $3,000, and they're 4 or 5 days long, and they're just teaching a test. Personally, I despise boot camps. I went to one shortly before I retired from the Navy, and the instructor said straight out the gate, I'm only required to legally teach you 2 hours of book, and then passed everybody in class an exam cram. And hey, here you go. Keep taking this, this test over and over again, so you can practice taking the test. So that's my roundabout example of how we've adopted a broken system. When we look at Security Plus, it says 2 years minimum as a recommendation, but you look at boot camps, they don't follow that.
And that model has pivoted over to the private sector as well. And when you look at many of the entry-level requirements for cybersecurity roles, they're asking for 3 to 5 years experience. And while many can say that there isn't an entry-level role in cyber, that's what breaks the system, because there are ways to skill up with on-the-job training, with apprenticeships, with models like that, where you can bring someone in, teach them, give them a subset of the tasks, and as they grow in experience, give them more tasks. But if everyone's asking for 3 to 5 years of experience, you'll never find, you'll constantly say that you don't have the talent that you're looking for, because you're setting unrealistic expectations for what someone needs to do. And while a small company could say, well, we need someone to be able to hit the ground running, which is a term that I absolutely hate, they're setting up false expectations for what they consider an entry-level role, because when they get to that role, most of the times they're not doing things that an entry-level person are doing. They're doing mid to senior level roles, and that's truly where we have the biggest gap, is mid to senior level roles and leadership roles. And we're looking to help remodify, change the expectations, and create a pipeline and a growth model to work with companies to develop talent from zero and move them up.
And I wouldn't even say zero, really. You got a lot of people out there that are curious. They get on the YouTubes, they watch how to hack XYZ or how to use Wireshark, for their home environment, stuff like that. And then you got kids in STEM school. Some of these kids in STEM school, we had one candidate that's 16 years old that blew me away at, we did our intake, Zoom last night. Not only did he skip a grade, but, he's already got collegiate level education under his belt for computers, right? And his guidance counselor is trying to lead him towards A+, to get A+ right off the bat. Why do I have to have this piece of paper to justify that I know what a computer is and the software and services that run on it? Why are you already gating me for, a help desk technician type role? And degrees is another thing that's, highly mistreated. When you look at, say, associates where it's a 2-year degree, you probably spent 5 courses roughly, 1,500 to $2,000 on coursework before you even touch your first elective. When, a high schooler can go out and get a certification based on the role that they want to do, and have that true return on investment, not only for the company, but for that person. If you look at a degree and you're talking about a $15,000 associate's, and you're applying, and the first job you get is $45,000, $60,000 a year, you got to take in consideration that you've already spent 15,000 to get to that. So really, you're still paying that debt.
Not to mention, for many entry level roles, having a bachelor's as a filter it hurts the underrepresented. It hurts individuals that might not be fit for college, where Paul and I look at cybersecurity as a trade versus something that's technical. You don't need to have a degree to be successful in cybersecurity. And most of the successful individuals in cybersecurity, they came from a variety of different backgrounds: music, history, liberal arts, and they didn't need to have a degree to be successful.
But it's also, let's face the facts. It's not just the HR, it's not just the hiring manager, it's not just the job descriptions. It's also the applicants and the candidates. When they get mentorship, they're expecting, here's a handout, go do this, and you're going to get a job. And it goes back to, they're shooting themselves in the foot because they don't want to do the work. And that's partly a lot of it. And then we talk about the back end. Sadly, biases still exist today. But for the sake of calling the kettle black, talent is talent, no matter the age, race, sex, sexual preference, religion, gender identification. Our threat actors don't care about that. Why are we? Right? We don't give credit to our veterans and military spouses that have hard and critical soft skills. Often, and sadly too often, a veteran who has 20 years in the service, who is not an IT or cybersecurity specialist, are always told, go entry level, start entry level. Why? When 28 to 30% of roles that are unfilled are mid to senior level roles, where they already have copious amounts of leadership.
Absolutely. And the other thing, when it comes to neurodiversity, gender biases, cultural biases, they filter out subconsciously a large variety of the talent that's out there, because they don't look, sound, come from a similar background as them. But the problem is, if everyone's coming from that same background, having that same train of thought, we won't have the diversity in thought to be able to solve the complex problems that threat actors are creating. Threat actors, they're gangs. They come from all sorts of environments. They don't screen based on those things. If you could do the job, they'll take you. Like, they don't care. So why should we have those implementations or those filters as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then how we help each other. How can we help each other? As a community, we need to develop lifelong learners, right? When you talk to some candidates, they think that they're going to do this, they're going to get the job, and that's the only thing they're going to do. So we have to develop that. We have to, as a community, partner with employers, help them find that diverse talent. Diversity can bring a lot to a table when you have different mindsets and different culture type thinking. And at the end of the day, strengthen the community.
As well as open their eyes to how where that diverse talent can come from, and show them the benefits of having that diversity. So that's where we come to the whole cyberhuman.
Yeah, and the whole cyberhuman approach, the way we do it, the really secret sauce is, the soul searching. Identifying, you got those people, I want to do a SOC analyst or I want to do pen test. Boom. Those are two sexy terms. They want to be in those roles. They don't understand the 52, roles and 33 subspecialties that they can absolutely do right now and use the other job as their dream job and build that 2-year, 5-year, and 7-year plan. What is your actual end game? Part two, so we broke our worksheet, our candidate worksheet up into 2 parts. The first one is we want to get to know somebody. Candidate emails, request information, and we get them over the worksheet. Part two of the worksheet, though, after they've shown that they have actually dived deep into the roles and they understand them, and we verify it through our intake, they get part two, which is rigorous. And it's rigorous for a reason, because cybersecurity is supposed to be challenging. You have to welcome the uncertainty, as Naomi Buckwalter would say. And everything we use is free education. We don't get our candidates to spend any money on anything. We just give them taste of things like the immersive labs beta. Knock out those modules, send us a completion. Range Force Community Edition, so you can learn a little bit about Blue Team. The CISA's, ICS VLP. When we talk about their virtual learning pipeline, there's a lot of it that translates over in traditional IT and cyber already. You're just now learning about this new threat that has come to light with Colonial Pipeline and several other breaches to critical infrastructure. So now it gives you that ability to really have that, extra foot. And these are just some of the trainings that they do, and they have to do all of them in order for us to finally advertise them. On our website, they start getting their LinkedIn posts sent out by us, stuff like that. And really, a lot of the companies that we sponsor with will, like one company already, likes our approach and wants to use it.
Yeah, so our approach also has them practice the networking skills, have them practice the branding themselves, creating content for employers to see, doing research so that they fully understand the role, and help them prep for interviews, help them prepare themselves for their careers. So they're coming to us with, I'm interested in cybersecurity, and you're leading with, this is the specific type of role that I'm looking for. And then we're working to partner them up with companies that are looking to fill those types of roles and help make the match come together.
Yeah, and we use that with SWOT. It's, if you can understand SWOT and use that in your daily grind for applying for jobs, you're not going to fail. It's a tried and true model. And I'm glad that Chris was able to get it uploaded to our presentation.
Yeah, one of the things that with the SWOT, with networking, it's really just finding ways to provide value and to show the employer the value that you can deliver to them. So take your background, show the value that you've provided there, and then translate that to how you're going to provide value to the company. And networking is the key. Not just networking with computers, but networking with actual people. And that's the whole human initiative aspect, because we want to make it human again versus just being another number in the applicant tracking system.
Right, and that's kind of how we designed the training, right? We chose training based off of, it's going to give you a feel for each color of the color wheel. The critical thinking that's required in a lot of different roles, orange, red, blue. And it's like, it's just one of those things that baffles me, that when somebody that just approaches SOC analyst, that's all they know. They can't tell you anything about what other roles do. And that leaves us, as we get close to the end, what we can do for you.
Yeah, this is for helping. This is the whole human initiative plus you as in a company. So we want to help the company by helping them review their job descriptions, show where they are limiting themselves in the talent pool, help deliver them pre-qualified, pre-assessed talent, as well as making recommendations on how they can screen the talent, how they can find the best talent, and then help them with prioritizing the talent that they have for their interview. That way they're closing in on great talent quickly.
Now, funds and contributions, we are brand new, so obviously it's a lot of out-of-pocket expenses. However, we just made a partnership with a veteran-owned company called Proper Patriot. And they're going to back sell t-shirts, polos, and hoodies for us. Now, when you see them, they are going to be pricey, but the reason they're pricey is the proceeds directly feed a mini scholarship program that we're starting, where we provide scholarship-based challenges for folks to get certifications that have really, true return on the value for the jobs that they're looking for. And we need more strategic partnerships. I can't, daily we're talking to companies that want to partner up, and we just need more of the communities, to do the same thing.
Absolutely. And as you can see, we've been very open with what we're doing because we're looking for this type of model to scale. We don't want to hold anything secret here, but we want to help provide this information to the community so that others can replicate it as well. But in our mission, we're looking for more partners. So reach out to us if you can help us. If you're interested in becoming a candidate, reach out to us. We're happy to help the community.
And with that, I will pass it back over to you, Aaron, Q&A.
Thank you.